Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Downtown Sports. There are only three teams left in the NBA Finals, and one of them's New York. We don't have to sit here and analyze basketball for you because luckily I was wrong. I am so happy to be wrong. The Knicks aren't sitting here having a series, having a grand old time. Beast was right.
27
Knicks,
long years. 27
Knicks swept the
years we've
Cavs
waited.
away. They done swept the Cavs away. It was so easy. Got rid of them. No problem. When you do business with James Harden, you get you don't get fear the beard. You know what you fear when you fear the beard? You fear dandruff and beard lice. That's what you fear.
And food in the beard.
Yeah, that too. Uh,
Well,
you,
Harden was
you, you fear
everywhere.
you fear the stray cats coming to attack the food in the beard that James Harden left when he had tacos the
Hmm.
night before, or halal food
Hmm.
outside of MSG.
Well,
By the way, you go to the halal carts on Seventh Ave, right next to Madison Square Garden. Those are the best.
hmm. I'll keep
I
that in
promise
mind.
you. So I'm the mouth of the South, John Schiavone. That's the beast of the East, Jonathan Perriente. Enough about us. Enough about New York City. We have to turn to LA. The city of LA in 2023, when no one went national, they started to cry. They didn't know what to do with themselves. Their radio voice flew away. Young Bird Eagle spread his wings and flew away. The listeners of the LA Clippers radio broadcast didn't know what they were going to do. And then Dr. Nylon Carlo Jimenez came with his velvety voice and saved Clippers radio. No man could have succeeded them any better. So today we bring on the man that succeeded the great Noah Eagle, Carlo Jimenez, the only play-by-play broadcaster of Latin descent calling NBA games in English in the United States of America today. Welcome to Downtown Sports. How are you doing, sir? Thank you for coming on the program today.
Wow. Wow. After that intro, I'm doing way better. That's for sure. That was incredible. Thank you so much, John. Can I get that recorded and then put my voicemail? So anytime anybody calls me, that's what I'll play. So people just know my resume right off the top.
Hmm.
That was incredible. I'm doing great. I'm happy to be on. Thank you guys so much for having me. I know you've had an incredible amount of elite, talented broadcasters, and so I'm just happy to kind of be involved in that conversation. I don't know if I match up talent wise with those people, but we all were on the same podcast, so we got something in
Yeah.
common. I'll take it.
Well, your journey, Carlo, has been an amazing journey. USC, your grandfather was somebody that you really gained a lot of love and appreciation from to really get you on this path. Grandfather immigrated from Mexico,
Yeah.
and you listened to broadcasts at a young age. Was this something early on that you felt this is something I'm going to do one day? I'm going to be a broadcaster one day.
You know, the first goal was to be in the NBA one day as a player, and that didn't really work out. I quickly realized when I was in high school, I think it was JV, I made the JV team, but I did not play. So I had a great seat to all the games, but I was not a participant in many. And we had a club in high school where you could broadcast the games for the school. And so that was something I got interested in. And I remember I would, run down to the JV locker room, like change into my tie. The coach would give a speech, and I'd run up to the varsity gym and call the varsity game. And I loved it. I was hooked. And I was lucky. I grew up in the Bay Area where, I went to bed listening to Dave Fleming and John Miller doing Giants radio every night. And that was an incredible thing. I think, as a kid, I didn't know that you could do that as a job, but looking back, I think that kind of was the first seeds. Like, listen to John and Dave, and then Tim Roy do Warriors basketball for all these years. So I would probably say in high school is where it started, but the seeds were planted a lot younger when my parents allowed me to have a radio in my room, and I listened to every Giants game during the summer until I went to bed.
Wow.
So, when you got started doing your broadcasting journey, when what got you to want to post it on Instagram, all the behind the
Mm.
scenes stuff? Because, when we got started as a podcast, we started at, the beginning of COVID-19, and we just said, well, what are we going to do for content? Because, there's no sports. So we decided, well, let's get all the broadcasters that we've ever worked under, spoken to, ever gotten a phone number from, and let's start talking to them about their journeys. And that's how we really got started. And, we wanted to really have you on more or less because, you know, it was kind of like uh a thing where you just had the same idea the second you started your career. You just wanted to broadcast the behind the scenes of it, and that's kind of how we got started as a podcast. So what made you want to do that and show people that side of the business?
Yeah, it's a great question, John. I think I started during college because I saw another broadcaster. His name's Sam Levitt, and he does pregame, postgame for the Padres. And he was kind of the first person I saw posting content on social media. He did the Amarillo Sod Poodles, great minor league baseball organization, did play-by-play for them. And he would post like behind the scenes and kind of explain the ins and outs of broadcasting. And it did really well. And so I was kind of like, all right, like maybe this is something that I want to get interested in. I come from a creative background. Well, I wouldn't say I have a lot of creative skills. My dad is an artist. He's a ceramics artist and teaches ceramics. So like growing up, we were in a lot of museums. I attended a lot of art openings. And so this was kind of like my creative outlet in a way. And then I think the third part of it was, as a kid, how many times am I watching the YouTube videos of like, here's what the Alabama locker room looks like, or like, here's what the Golden State Warriors practice facility looks like. And I was always enamored with that stuff just because like it's the behind the scenes that you don't always get. And so I try to look at my content a little bit like, if somebody's like really wants to be a broadcaster, is interested or just interested in broadcasting, here's like the behind the scenes that maybe isn't public to, or people don't get a chance to see unless they see it through a YouTube or a TikTok or an Instagram video.
Talking with Carlo Jimenez, the radio voice of the LA Clippers on 570 AM in LA. Uh, you ended up succeeding Noah Eagle, who was
Yeah.
calling Clipper games. That's where he began and got his foot in the door before he
Mhm.
moved into NBC and company. You came out of
Young
college,
Bird Eagle.
the Young Bird Eagle. That's right. You came
Yes.
out. That's the
We
nickname we
no,
call him.
we are spreading that name around the
Of
world
course.
because
No,
he's
he's earned
not
it.
Baby
He's earned it.
Bird. He's not any of that. His name is Young Bird Eagle.
Young Bird
He has
Eagle.
evolved. He has evolved. It's like a Pokemon evolution, right?
Okay.
He started off as Charmander, go to Charmeleon, and then Charizard.
Yes.
He's Young Bird Eagle now.
Is
Okay.
there eventually like
So,
a shiny Noah Eagle version that we're gonna
Yes.
see?
oh,
Or okay.
I'm sure it exists.
Yes,
So
he's gonna.
you
Yes, he's gonna be. What is the one where Charizard turns blue or something? Like,
Mega Evolution.
Oh
Yeah, Charizard
yeah.
X Y.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, there you
Yes.
go.
So you
Yes, we're a
succeeded.
bunch of nerds here. We play fantasy sports
You
too.
know, there are a lot of baseball players out there that love Pokemon. You'd be amazed.
Come on now.
Mr.
Yeah,
Rowski's one of them, along
fantasy.
with Chris Sale.
We play fantasy sports too. By the way, shout outs to the professional fanatics. You want to
Amen.
check them out?
So going back, so you came out of college in 2023. You succeeded Noah Eagle, what the Youngbird Eagle. What was your first experience like meeting Noah, and what were some great wisdom and knowledge you gained from Noah to prepare you for the role of being the voice of the LA Clippers via radio?
Yeah, that's so funny story. I actually met young Bird Eagle before he moved to LA.
Mm.
When I was looking at schools, I was emailing kind of anyone and everyone who would email me back because I was trying to learn about a bunch of different broadcasting programs. And I was talking to a student at Syracuse whose name is Drew Carter, who does the Celtics now on TV, when Drew was a senior at Syracuse. And I said, "Hey, like I'd love to get in touch with the one of the heads of WAER, which is obviously a very legendary student radio station in Syracuse. All these incredible broadcasters have come from it. Do you have a contact I could reach out to? I just have some questions." So I emailed Noah, not knowing who Noah was. Like I just like was like, "You're a student at Syracuse. Like, here's three questions I have." And he got back to me. And then he got the Clipper job. I ended up going to USC. I like to joke with Drew that he did not do a good pitch job. And then, and then when he was at the Clippers and I was at USC, I would send him like a tape once a year. I wouldn't say we talked all that much, but a couple times he let me shadow, which was honestly one of the more eye-opening experiences I've ever had. Just seeing kind of how Noah interacts with everyone, during the broadcast. I didn't really get to listen to Noah, well, because the booth is so small up there, but like seeing how he interacts with the ushers and the people at the meal room and his engineer and the producer back in the studio, it was really neat and an experience I'll really never forget. So we had talked a couple times, but I would say when I got the Clipper job, he was really helpful. Sorry, in kind of helping me have the confidence to be myself on air. I think like when you step into a role like that at 22, 23, you're trying to prove yourself to everybody, right? Like, everyone's gonna have eyebrows raised when you're hired at a school. That's just how it is. And so I think Noah kind of helped me, have that belief in myself that I earned this opportunity and I'm gonna be able to thrive in this opportunity. And he just always would tell me, like, just try to sound like yourself. Like, don't try to sound like anybody else. And I've always tried to keep that in mind when going on air, just trying to sound like who I am and be true to myself.
I
Absolutely.
mean, that's the biggest thing for any broadcaster that
Yeah.
you could ever teach them is be yourself. I've always strived for that whenever I've gone on air, whenever I've put forth a podcast, whenever I've gone out there. Like you don't go out there calling yourself the name of the late great Ted Turner and in New York City, unless you're confident in who you are. And then there is your nickname, Dr. Nylon. So, you know, I always come up with nicknames for people. I name everyone. This is something I do. There is no way I can name you Doctor. I mean, Doctor Triple Nylon. I need to know. I need to know because epic nicknames have even more epic stories behind them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people have said, "Oh, where does Dr. Triple Nylon come from?" And that's not the vein in which I am asking you this question. I know that there is an epic story behind this. There has to be.
Yeah. I would say so. First of all, incredible nickname. Thank you so much. I've been looking for a nickname, and this is what I need. This is Doctor Triple Nylon or just Doctor Nylon?
Dr. Triple Nylon.
Doctor Triple. That's
That's your
threes are
full
great.
name, or Dr. Nylon for short.
Yeah, yeah. Triples are best. So I like it. I like it. I would say so in college, one of my favorite things to do was you could listen to any radio broadcast in the NBA. Like even if the game was a couple of weeks ago. And so I was listening to guys and kind of write down phrases, like literally while I was walking to class or while I was doing something that, was maybe a little mundane. I would listen to like Chuck Cooperstein or Mark Boyle or Sean Grandy and just like try to learn stuff. And it might be Bill Raftery because this is kind of a thing he says, but I was listening to a game and a broadcaster used the phrase nothing but nylon. And I was like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm gonna write that down. So I have it like a big notes app in my phone. I wrote it down. And then I did a couple USC games, and Boogie Ellis, who was a really hyped up high school recruit, ends up at USC. He hits a big three against UCLA, and it was the first time. It was kind of just natural, but it was the first time I used nylon. And at that point, I was posting clips on the internet. And so I put it out there, and a bunch of comments were like, "Wow, nylon's tough. Nylon's tough." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Like, cool. Like I'll keep using it." And then it really blew up when I got to the Clippers. I used it in like game two or three, and it got like 3 million views. And I was like, because that like a one call. I was like, all right, I guess this is it. Like it was almost, John, like the people decided. Like I never tried to make that my signature, but like I got so much, positive feedback from it online that I was just like, okay, like I guess,
There you
that this is
go.
what I'll do. Like it
Mike
made it
Breen
That's the
easy.
popularized
path.
bang. Mike Breen popularized the bang call with the big threes from downtown, and
Yeah,
you've
yeah. And I
heard
think
nothing
that's
but
also,
net. You've heard all those classic calls, and
yeah,
one
Marv
call
Albert's
changes
yes.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And
That
I
is the
think
best
honestly,
though.
it's so nice to like not have to like if a big shot's coming, I don't have to worry about what I'm gonna say. Like I know I'm gonna say. Like it takes away the like what phrase am I gonna use here? Um yeah, Marv Albert's yes is probably like the originator of that. But yeah, that was I love it. I love a good signature call. It's fun.
There
And
have
now you
been
got a signature name.
there have
There you
been
go.
many there
Hash.
have
You
been
could hat.
many.
I know millennial. You could hashtag. I know that sounds old as hell. You could hashtag that, or or you could TikTok that. That's your. There you go. Doctor Triple Nine. That's your X name. That's your TikTok name. That's everything.
There have
That's
been
I'm in.
branding. That's T-shirts. All of it.
there have been so many greats. There have been many Latino announcers that have called sports throughout. Are some of these guys people like Jaime Jarrín, longtime Spanish radio voice for the LA Dodgers,
Yeah.
Andres Cantor for his epic goal calls, and I'm sure we will
Yeah,
be hearing
yeah.
him in just a few weeks for the FIFA World Cup. Uh, how much of a motivation did these guys serve for you to also make it into this business? So only very few Latino broadcasters have made it in this business, and to be in the same ranks with an Andres Cantor, with a Jaime Jarrín, how much did you draw from those guys too to making
Yeah,
it?
I think it's a great question. And it's something that I don't know if I'm in the ranks of those guys yet, but those are some legends. But I've been able to meet Jaime a couple times at these SoCal sports broadcaster meetings, and he's been so gracious with his time, and so kind. And Pepe, who does the Dodgers on the radio, has been so kind and so gracious. And just to feel the warmth from those guys means a lot. Being Latino is something that is important to me. My grandfather immigrated here, worked in the fields pretty much until he was in high school, where he finally was able to stay at the same school for more than 4 months because he was the janitor of a local elementary school. Ended up getting a scholarship to college to go to Santa Clara University, then a scholarship to go to Columbia University, and then taught for like 60 years at Santa Clara University. And so, really, this is somebody who grew up with nothing and was able to work hard, be kind, give back, and create a life. And like, I'm not here with this opportunity to do the Clippers without what my grandfather did. And so, having the last name Jimenez kind of it gives me a lot of pride because I understand the sacrifices that he made to give me the opportunities that I have today. And so being Latino, I try to honor that side of my family by always doing what my grandfather did, right? Working hard, being kind, and giving back. And so, to just be a part of that group that you mentioned, to be able to call those people my colleagues in a way, although I look up to them. I don't know, like it's kind of like, when you meet somebody who is elite at what they do, you're not really like we're on the same level, but just to be able to have conversations and how kind they've been, right? Like they don't need to necessarily always say hello and make it a point to shake my hand, but everyone has been so gracious, and I feel the warmth from them, which is really cool.
The one thing I've noticed in this business is the people that really get to the levels that people aspire to get to are the ones that are the most gracious with their time, the ones that are the
Yeah.
most giving with their talents and their abilities to mentor younger broadcasters. And I think your Instagram page and how you're putting out your journey from college to now is a great way of doing that for the younger generation, and you're following in those footsteps. So in my opinion, as a older broadcaster who might not have completely made it yet, I've done a couple things, but we're still in podcast land here. But you know you're following in that tradition. So, as much as you can allow yourself to call yourself a colleague of theirs, you are,
Yeah.
because that is what you do. And I think you should feel that level of pride in yourself, because that is where you have gotten yourself, young sir. I do
Thank
believe
you,
that.
John. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And don't sell yourself short. You guys have the greatest list of guests on a podcast I've ever been a part of. So you guys have had some high hits on this podcast. So don't sell yourself short. It's elite. It's
It took
elite.
time, I can assure you. It took,
Yeah.
I can say it took about 7, 8 years to get Kenny Albert. That did not happen
Wow.
overnight. I first messaged him way back in 2014.
Yeah,
Wow.
but
And
we
I,
were a college
yeah.
radio show. Like
And
this show has evolved from years to
I never
college
ended up
and
hearing
this.
from him, and I never heard from him again until COVID-19. Iron
Yep.
Wow.
Eagle was even longer of a wait. That was, I sent him a broadcast, and finally, COVID-19, 7 years later, he emails me back saying, "Do you still have that broadcast you sent me from how many years ago?" And and suddenly, boom,
Yeah.
we started to have
And
conversations, and
shout
then he
outs to
started
our
coming. It's been
shout outs
tremendous.
to our old friend Wayne Randazzo,
Yes,
who
Oh,
voice of
had
the
maintained
Angels.
a relationship, voice of the
Yes.
yeah.
Angels now, who had maintained a relationship with us when he was the radio voice of the New York Mets for all
Mm-hmm.
those years.
Yeah.
Stuck with us in the college days, and then when we moved to podcast world, still maintained a relationship with us while he was the voice of the New York Mets. But we need to move on, and we need to talk some basketball with you, young sir, because
Yes.
Let's do it.
It's
the LA Clippers and the Western Conference in general, it is hard hitting, literally from 1 through 9. Each of these teams could potentially make moves to win titles.
Yeah.
So the LA Clippers are no different. They draft at 5. Any of these players they get from 1 through 6 in this draft could potentially take a middling play-in team to a contender to a for sure conference title appearance type of team. The Clippers have always been talented enough. What do you think they need to do this offseason? Who is the player they need to be targeting in this draft? Do the Clippers need to trade up to get somebody? What is LA going to do?
Yeah, it's a good question because you feel like when they landed the fifth pick, it was like, well, you have like unlimited options. Like you could trade down in the draft, you could go trade this to go try to get somebody, you could blow it up, you could trade Kawhi, try to move up, try to get another pick. Like, a lot of people talked about is OKC gonna keep their two picks? They only have one roster spot. How are they gonna manage that? Um, it really is like in I don't even know how the Clippers front office is possibly looking at all these options, but there are endless options of what the Clippers can do. I think with the way Kawhi played last season, second team All NBA, top five in steals and points, I think you try to draft your next superstar, and I think you try to help hope. And I think Kawhi has shown he can do this with the younger guys. We've seen it with Benedict Mathurin, who missed like a game winner early in his Clipper career, and Kawhi was the first one over to like lift his head and be like, "Look, man, like you're gonna miss shots. You're gonna miss shots," and trying to build that mentorship and be competitive for next year. I think they're excited what they have in the young rookie they drafted last year, and Yannick Niederhauser. He'll
Yeah.
come back middle of the season, and I think he's somebody who can really make a difference. But we'll see. I mean, obviously, the two names that come out a lot are Acuff and Wagler. It's funny because so I do also some games for Fox Sports, like some college basketball games, and every time I'd call a game, we'd have a promo. Keaton Wagler in Illinois, and I was always like, Keaton Wagler can't be like he's on every promo. Like, how good is this guy? And then you watch and you're like, oh my goodness. And he's got the NBA tools too, right? Like length, size, playmaker, clearly not afraid of the moment. Somebody who had an incredible season on a really good Illini team. So I think you draft. I think you draft. Um, I don't have any, you know, there's no front office experience. This is just pure like what I would do. But I think like drafting in this type of class where, a lot of years, Acuff, Wagler, they might go one or two, right? If we're talking not years in which you have four superstars who are going above them. Obviously, the top four is pretty solidified. So I think the Clippers, you try to draft and you try to build and hope Kawhi continues to stay healthy and has another great season, and I think they could make noise. I really do. I think this is a team that has the right pieces that could make noise in the West.
Talking with Carlo Jimenez, radio voice, 570 AM for the LA Clippers in Los Angeles. It's really amazing, like really how the Clippers began the year. December 18th, it was. They were 6-21.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
way you start that poorly in the season. There's no way you're going to even, you might as well pack the season up. But the Clippers held
That's
strong.
right, Beast. That's right, Beast. Eat it. Eat the sandwich.
They went
Eat the sandwich that the Clippers prepared for you when
they
you when
went
you
30
became wrong.
they went 36-19 down the stretch. They
Does
got
that taste
themselves
good, Beast?
into playing contention, which was, I think, honestly, when you look at that, that's tremendous turnaround from Coach Ty Lue. When did you
Yeah.
start seeing the turnaround from that rough start? When did you feel things were starting to turn a little bit for the Clippers and maybe they could make a run here at the second half of the year?
Yeah, no, I mean it's a good question because you're always wondering like, all right, where's the breaking point, right? Like how did this team go from literally like 15 games under 500 to finishing above 500? And they're the first team ever in the history of the NBA to be 15 games under
Wow,
500 and finish above
that's
500 to
crazy.
close the season. I mean, it
Yeah,
was an insane
and
turnaround.
I was called crazy when I said on go back in the Spotify. You could go back in the Spotify. It's all there. All the crazy things I say that come true in sports. It's all there. Please,
A lot of
please.
what you say usually does.
Is it?
A lot of what you usually say does happen. It's kind of crazy when you think about it.
Can we
It
get
Really
a
is.
John, can we get a
is.
Clippers championship guarantee? Is that
uh,
can I get that or
I can't do that. I unfortunately cannot do that.
The
But
Clippers have had some years of tough luck. It
they've
happened. I
had
mean, Doc
they've
Rivers.
had
Let's not forget Doc.
Yeah, you got to get
Anyway,
lucky too. You got to stay
as long
healthy.
as SGA exists, as long as Wembanyama exists and is not playing for you, I'm sorry.
let's see. But anyway, back to the back to when you saw this turnaround with the Clippers from 6-21, and how when did you feel the tide was starting to turn for the Clippers
Yeah.
halfway
So
into the
what's
year?
interesting about to like today's NBA is there's not a lot of practice. Like guys don't, in between, if you have one day off in between a game, usually teams aren't practicing. If they're practicing, it's a light walkthrough versus like Ty Lue likes to joke that when he was playing, they had hard practices almost every day. Like
Wow.
they were scrimmaging, they were playing 5-on-5. There was a lot of contact. I mean, you hear the stories about Kobe and how hard he practiced. Jordan obviously would like to say that he practiced harder, so the games were easier. But sports and science have obviously gone a long way, and the reason guys are playing into their late 30s and LeBron incredibly into his early 40s is because there's people on the sports science side who are like, hey, maybe we shouldn't have an all-out practice in the middle of 5 games in 7 days.
Absolutely.
And so the Clippers they're trying to integrate all these new players. Bradley Beal, who they thought would be their starting shooting guard to begin the year, breaks his hip like game 6 of the season. He's done for the year. Um, then you have the injury to Kawhi. He rolls his ankle game 5. He's out 10 games. And so they had no practice time. There's no real continuity. The way they built this team is not what the team looks like now. And then they don't make the NBA Cup. And when you don't make the NBA Cup, you get about 6 days off and like 2 games in a week. And so they practiced. They finally practiced. And Nico Batum talked about this, and Jeff Van Gundy as well, that they just simplified everything. They kind of made things easier to understand defensively. They tweaked how they wanted to run things offensively, and I mean, ever since then, I believe that NBA Cup is the championship for the Cup is the 17th, and so the 18th they played the Thunder, and then it kind of took off from there, and. Yeah, crazy concept, but if you practice, which again, you just don't have time for. Like, yes, there are less back-to-backs in today's NBA, but the reason there are less back-to-backs means there's less 2 days, 3 days off in a row. And so there's a trade-off there. Like there's having 2 days off in a row, it means a lot for these NBA guys. The Clippers went 6 weeks without 2 days off in a row this season,
Wow.
which is a long time to have, just one day off, especially if you're traveling, doesn't feel like a day off. So it was nice. They got practice time and they turned it around.
It's been the same, the
And
conference semifinals
Yeah.
and
I just
finals.
know, and something just clicked to me. And if you take a look at, let's throw this at the New York Knicks, for example. It looked like the regular season was a gigantic practice.
Yeah.
It really did. It looked like the regular season was a gigantic practice, and by the time they were down 2 games to 1 to the Atlanta Hawks, they said, "Okay, all of this game practice we were all doing, let's now deploy the real system." And out came Super Kitty, and yeah, that's what I've nicknamed him.
Super Kitty. I haven't heard that. I love that.
Out came Super Kitty. He went from Carl Anthony Towns to Super Kitty, and he started being the point four and triple double and all of that. The only thing he needs to do is stop fouling on the perimeter,
Yeah.
and the entire offense started running through him. And Brunson was playing off ball, and whenever he stays out on the floor for more than 30 minutes, the team wins by 40 points. So it's like you don't see what they're doing in the it's like it feels like the games are practice almost.
Yeah.
So it almost felt like that, and now you've just literally described why
You
right
Yeah.
you
right here.
you saw a lot of Mike Brown when he was in the Western Conference with
Yeah.
Golden State, with brief little time with the Kings.
Yeah.
Did you ever imagine that Mike Brown could elevate the Knicks to getting here to the NBA Finals? Did you see that with Mike Brown over the years? Like if he's with the right players in the right system, he could excel.
Yeah, I think Mike, most of the players who play for Mike Brown love Mike Brown. And I think that's really important in today's NBA because you have to have guys who are going to go out there and feel like their coach believes in them. And that often instills confidence in players. They don't play looking over their shoulder. I think he's, very transparent, clearly a down-to-earth guy. They have the Knicks defensive coordinator, Brendan O'Connor, was at the Clippers for 10 years. So I'm a
Wow.
big BOC guy. So it's cool to see him have some success. But yeah, I think, everything. And Mike Brown, talk about a guy who's had a career, right? I mean, he's coached Durant, Steph, Kobe, LeBron. Like he's seen it all in the NBA. I think he just made too much sense and has too much experience for that Knicks team to not have success, right? I mean, he just feels like the right type of guy, and he understands, like you were talking about, John, the length of the regular season and what is important about the regular season, right? Like he's been on Golden State Warriors teams where we like going into the year, you all knew like, all right, well, the season starts when the finals start because they're probably going to get there. And then that's when we're going to decide if this was a success or not. And so he understands kind of how to think long term while making sure not overreacting to things in the regular season. I guess I'm curious from a perspective from two New Yorkers. Like,
Yeah.
do you like that you're going to have 9 days off, or would you rather have seen this team play a little sooner?
For me, I think it's good because you've allowed the Knicks needed a coach that not only was not afraid to get them on the right path,
Yeah.
but he utilizes everything that he has. And I loved Tom. I said this in a rant. You could, by the way, check it out on YouTube. I love Tibbs. He laid a
Yeah.
groundwork. The Knicks turned around because of that. And he
Mm.
built a good system here. The only thing with Tom was he had limits and he did not use the bench. He didn't utilize everything that he always had in front of him. Mike
Yeah.
Brown has done that. Mike Brown doesn't hesitate to keep something that's working. If it's working, stay with it. If it's not,
Yeah.
Mike Brown is not going to hesitate to change.
Yeah.
That's what you need in today's game. You have to be able to kind of go with the flow of the game, which is something Mike Brown does exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Um, I'll give it to you like this. Mike Brown, I still have to wait out the year, see how it went. But do you know what? He got to the finals. To me, that was the goal with Mike Brown. He had to advance to the NBA
Yeah.
finals. He
Talk about
accomplished the goal.
pressure.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's a
No,
lot.
Yeah.
but that was literally the pressure that was put on him when he got the job. He accomplished
Yeah.
the goal. During the regular season, he literally used it as practice, and literally Carlo, what you just said, literally like just put that light bulb off in my head. He literally used the regular season games as practice. He treated the Knicks like they were a team that was expected to go to the NBA Finals. He
Yeah.
made the rotations like that. He literally was trying out different combinations of players, different offenses. He made the games into hard practices instead of making the players go out there and try to earn it. I don't mind the 9 days of rest, and here's why. This team has been tested in the postseason more than any team remaining, including the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Spurs are brand new to this. The Knicks have gone through years of 7 game series, 7 game
Yeah.
series. They know how to grind it out in
Yeah.
battle.
But that wears you
So,
down at the same time. The grinded out game
yeah,
can wear you down. Just look at what happened to Cleveland. Look how many seven
Yeah.
game series they played before the Knicks
they
series came
got
along.
Brunson has a long memory. Cat has a long memory. OG Anunoby is a champion. This team is chock full of playoff experience. They're ready for this.
Bridges and
I
Shannon were in the
honestly,
finals for the Suns. Let's not forget that
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
Yes.
yep.
Who would you rather
So
see?
That's a great question.
Spurs.
That's a
I
great
want
one.
the Spurs all day because I'll tell you why. Cat on
Okay.
the perimeter takes Wemby outside, and then the inside is all opened up for Bridges, for Brunson, for OG Anunoby. Cut inside. You take Cat basically brings Wemby to the perimeter. I want San Antonio all day. I
I've
think the Knicks could take them out in 5.
for me, and I know this sounds nuts, but right now the way
And
it's looking,
revenge. And by the way, revenge for
99.
1999.
Yep.
Mm.
Well, for me, I really want to see the Thunder. I feel like the Knicks had 2 games they could have easily beaten the Thunder. That let's not forget the game at the Garden. Honestly, a couple calls here and there, Knicks probably win that game. The
Yeah.
Knicks haven't beaten the Thunder in 4 years. It's been a long
Wow.
time since the Knicks last beat the Thunder. And personally, I want to see, what was it Ric Flair always used to say? If you want to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Yeah.
You got to beat the
Yeah.
top dog in the NBA. And
It's true.
I want, because some have gone, well, the Knicks had a cakewalk schedule. They took down weak teams. Doesn't matter. You play
But
what's in front of you. You play who's
Yeah.
in
I have
front
a
of you. I don't
question.
care what anyone says.
Yeah.
The Hawks were the worst team in the NBA to come up against in the first round. That was
That's yeah.
literally a team that could have
The narrative
knocked
kept
the Knicks
changing with the
out.
Knicks with Nick
Um,
with people over the years with these playoffs. Oh, the
Yeah.
Knicks shouldn't. Knicks are going to not beat Atlanta. Knicks are not going to beat Cleveland. Knicks are not going to beat Philly.
I was so happy to see Philly in round 2. That made me dance a jig of happiness. In round 3, I did not want to see Cleveland because, to be honest, even though we swept Cleveland, if Cleveland would have won game 1, that would have been a much different series.
Yeah.
Could have been.
100%.
Could have been.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I did not want James Harden with that performance to win game 1 and actually get momentum going
It,
no.
it's funny you bring up
I
game one
think the
because we're in
Knicks
that
would
same
have beat.
situation with if we face the Spurs or the Thunder, the long layoff again, and are we going to be
Yeah.
rusty again like we were against Cleveland?
Uh, Here's the thing: as long as it's the Spurs, I don't care.
Mm.
I don't want to see the Thunder because the calls will go the way of Sir Gilgius Floppius
This is New York
and
we're talking
his
about. That stuff's not going to
Squire
fly in
Pet
Madison Square Garden.
Flopgren.
You're going to hear it from the Knicks fans if they start seeing what we
I'm
think we're going to
sure.
see.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well,
But
it's interesting too because like Wemby's never really played this minutes load
no,
in his life, right? Like
Right.
they barely played him over. I think he averaged 29 minutes a game in the regular season. Like they San Antonio was so cautious. And so he's got to go 7 to win that series, right? So you're telling me Wemby's going to play 40 minutes a game the last 4 games before that series? Like how does he look conditioning wise? Obviously there's a ton of stories about him running and but this is different, right? This is a different level of basketball. And then you look at OKC and they're number 2 and Jalen Williams, J Dub, like he really the hamstring injury is still bothering him. You know,
yeah,
he's still missing games and trying to nurse back the hamstring. AJ Mitchell, who was a regular season hero for that team,
yeah.
is out with that calf strain. They're not as invincible as I think a lot of people see those teams as they are just because they've dealt the circumstances they've dealt with and they're beating each other up. Like they are beating each other up right now. So if you're the Knicks, I'm sure you're a San Antonio fan tomorrow night. Put that series to 7 and then
Oh
get
yeah.
somebody.
As
Oh yeah.
someone that has
And OG Anunoby just gets to sit back and let his hamstring heal.
Yeah.
That's the
as
important thing because
as
nobody's talking about OG's hamstring because that series went 4 and
yeah,
OG didn't
yeah,
have to do
he
much
got to
of
rest.
anything.
Got to
Yeah.
rest. As
Yeah.
someone that has been calling the Western Conference games for quite a while with the Clippers, and you've seen the West, what has been your impressions with Mitch Johnson and with Mark Dano and what they have been
Yeah.
able and how they've been able to really kind of, even despite all the injuries they've had, they still managed to kind of weather the storm. And here you have the Thunder and Spurs finishing number 1 and 2 in the West.
Yeah. I think it's a credit to a couple things. One, those guys, similar to what we talked about with Mike Brown, but they instill the ultimate confidence in every player who steps on the floor. I mean, you see it with Jared McCain. He was kind of somebody who was dwindling a little bit in Philly. He got sent down to the G League, and then last night hit two of the biggest shots of the
Wow.
game, two transition threes, and finished with almost, I think he got 18 or 20 off the bench. And so I think one thing that Mark does so well is he allows his players the freedom to do what they do best. I think some coaches you play within a system, and if you don't play that system, things don't work out with you. I think we saw a little bit of that with Jonathan Kuminga at Golden State, right? Like Steve has a system, and that's because they have Steph Curry.
Yeah,
But Steve has a system, and you have to play a certain way in that system. Mark is very different and kind of allows that freedom. And I think Mitch, and this is also a credit to Wembanyama, but there is a level of accountability among those young guys in San Antonio that you just don't see that maturity. Dylan Harper's 19 years old. These are guys that haven't been in the league much at all. Carter
yeah,
Bryant is a rookie as well, and they're playing significant minutes for their team. And I think what both those coaches do is they instill belief in their players, and then they hold everybody to a high standard, and they can do that because they're superstars, hold everyone to a high standard. You heard Mike talk about how Jalen Brunson's one of the best leaders he's been around. And, when you hear things and talk to people around the Knicks, it's because like there's a standard that he holds. And when your superstar holds that standard, there is no excuse for anybody else to not hold that standard. And so I think that's also why those teams have been successful is, Shea is not somebody who is going to take a game off, a possession off, or not do the dirty work on the defensive side of the ball. Wembanyama is one of the more competitive people I've ever seen. I mean, the Clippers were playing in San Antonio and they were up 25 and they lost the game, and Wemby cried after because he's just so like such a competitive person. Um, and so I think when you have those guys at the helm, it makes things easier to get everybody else kind of on board.
absolutely.
All right. So we're gonna get you out of here on this last question. We're talking with Dr. Trips Nylon Carlo Jimenez, the radio voice of the LA Clippers. You know, we've discussed a lot about your personal background, your career, your thoughts on the upcoming series, the NBA Finals. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the Downtown Sports audience, to your audience, to everybody about anything going on right now? Is there anything else you'd like to say to wrap this interview up?
Mm. Man, honestly, guys, I'm honored to be here. Like when
Pleasure.
you guys emailed me and I had seen the pod when Noah was on and understand who you guys have had on. And so like seriously, like thank you for having me. I hope more broadcasters continue to hop on because it's been fun talking to you guys and hopefully we can do it again soon. This is great. And I'm excited for this finals. I know you guys will have great coverage,
Should
so
be
I'm looking
great.
forward to it.
I think this
Hell
has
yeah.
potential to be one of the best finals we've seen in quite some time. I mean,
100%.
if we could, I think Knicks Thunder could be a classic series. I know people don't
Oh,
are concerned, but I either look Knicks Spurs or
oh,
Knicks Thunder have potential to be a great final. However
Yeah.
you
as
slice
a
this,
let me tell you something. As a Knicks fan, I'm concerned about Knicks Thunder because I want to see the Knicks win.
I
As an
understand.
NBA fan, you want Knicks Thunder.
Sure.
That's the series you
Or
want.
yeah. I mean, San Antonio is just as enticing. Like, can Wembanyama really win a championship in year three? Are they already arrived? Like, who knows?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the best basketball. Growing up, I was a Giants fan, and the Giants, when they won their championships, it wasn't really because they had a great regular season; it's because they got hot. They got
Yeah.
hot in
Yep.
October,
And they
and the
were a good
Knicks are
pitching
hot.
team. And they were a great
Yeah,
pitching team, the Giants.
yeah. You don't want to see a team that's on fire, and the Knicks could not be more on fire. So
Yeah.
we'll see. It's gonna be fun.
Yep.
It's definitely going to be a
And
battle.
I'll tell you, they during the regular season, you talk about there were games that the Clippers lost that they should have won. I could give you at least 6 or 7 games that the Knicks literally gave away. They should have been the number one seed in the East, and this should have been a foregone conclusion. Like
Yeah, they
this
got it
should have
done though.
been what everybody thought
Yeah,
happened instead
yeah,
of like a foregone conclusion. To me, this is, honestly, this is what the city expected of this team.
yeah.
Without a
And the
doubt.
fact the fact that the rest of the country is now waking up to it, we all kind of feel as if you know you all caught on a little too late.
Oh, good.
That's how the New York sports fan feels
Hey,
like, and
Yeah,
heck, even the
that's
New
I
fair.
like
York
being the
sports
underdog.
analyst in
I
a way
love being the
too.
underdog. Love it.
Yeah. No, everyone was picking Boston or Cleveland. I mean, nobody was really pounding the drum on the Knicks, so that's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
that's kind of crazy,
That's
and it's
Yeah,
crazy because that like what roster was better assembled to take on any team in the West at that?
it's very true.
Mikal
Very true.
Bridges just had to wake up at that. But usually he like think of Mikal Bridges as John Carlos Stanton.
Yeah.
Does
Giancarlo.
absolutely nothing in the regular season. Playoffs time, he's just like, wait, what? Hold up, I have a
That's just
job.
how some of the
Okay,
great
great.
ones look. Reggie Jackson was
Yeah.
the same way. Playoffs, he was a
Yeah.
different player. That's just how it
Five
is.
first round, 5 first round picks. He better win me that title.
Well, the Knicks are 4 wins away from making
Four
that a
wins away.
reality. And we'll find out
Yeah.
very soon if that does live up to it. Carlo Jimenez, radio voice for the LA Clippers on 570 AM in Los Angeles. Thank you so much for taking some time with us. Best of luck to the Clippers in the upcoming draft and in the offseason. I have a feeling they will bounce back in the West. There's no doubt in my mind. I think they will. And we look forward to seeing the Clippers for next season. And best of luck in whatever. I think you have a bright future ahead of you.
Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you guys having me on. This was fun. Hopefully we'll do it again
Definitely.
soon.
Well, I think we will.
I think Noah's going to teach you how to avoid the slime next on Nickelodeon. Get ready to dodge some slime. Yeah. Uh, have you ever heard of GAC before?
No.
Oh yeah, Gak's
That
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 little
that's
toy. Yeah, a little toy of.
the next time you come on Downtown Sports, I need you to research GAC and slime and the show Double Dare.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Double Dare
Okay.
2000. Yes, good old
I
show in
will
the
get
good
on
old
Yeah.
those.
days. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I got you,
Um,
John.
yeah. So when you come back, you're going to be prepared for what's going to happen to you on those Nickelodeon NFL broadcasts.
All right. I'm ready.
And
I'll
with
be
that,
ready.
that's going to conclude this edition of Downtown Sports. I want to thank our man, Crystal Large. I want to thank Tony Mainville. I want to thank our guest today, Carlo Jimenez, for joining us here on Downtown Sports. You can listen and watch Downtown Sports. We're on 24 different platforms. We're on Spotify for creators, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Bullhorn, Podbay, Listen Notes, Podcast Addict, Verbalcaster.fm, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, Podvine, Podyssey, Odyssey, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, TuneIn, YouTube, and now on TikTok. Episodes, rants, digital market battles, specials every week. We are Downtown Sports. We are where sports come home.
And we are where sports, yeah, where sports come home. We are where sports just, I don't know.
You don't
I,
know.
yeah. At this point, I don't know anymore. I am just in shock that we just continue to get the best guests in the world of sports, the best broadcasters in the world of sports. The new radio voice of the Clippers on Downtown Sports. It's a tradition now. And Dr. Triple Nylon, Carlo Jimenez has continued that tradition of the voice of the Clippers coming on our program.
Full of
I'm just
pride. I
honored
love
and
it.
humbled
I
by
love
it.
it.
I'm just
Very
honored
humble.
and humbled by it. I
Hey,
love it.
it's
I
always
love
an
it.
honor. It's a privilege. It's a privilege. Carlo, thank you so much for your time. I'm the beast of the East, Jonathan Perianti. That's the mouth of the South, John Schiavone, saying goodbye and good day.
We're out. Thanks for listening.